number 10 spot today, we have the anglerfish. In case you're thinking, hey, this fish looks familiar. Well, that's probably because this is the fish from Finding Nemo that almost ate Marlin and Dory after Dory sang her infamous ballad, Just Keep Swimming. Gosh, now that I've been reminded of it, you better believe that I'm gonna be singing it all night long. This aquatic fish can be found in some of the darkest spots of the ocean. The anglerfish has an organ attached to the front of its head. Yes, that's right, an organ. This organ is called an esca. The esca is able to emit light due to a special form of bacteria called bioluminescence. The esca organ is actually the reason that the anglerfish is able to live in the ocean about 3,300 feet, which is 583 feet more than the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. There is supposed to be over 200 species of the anglerfish. That's 200 too many if you ask me. Next up in our number 9 spot today, we have the goblin shark. Named because it looks just like the mythical creatures and perhaps just like the HP Gringotts bank employees, but in fish form, the goblin shark has been swimming in the deepest parts of the sea for over 100 million years, most known to be found near Japan. The goblin shark has a long snout, which is a kind of antenna, which makes it capable of sensing the minute electric fields being sent out by prey nearby. They can grow to be 12 feet long and weigh up to 460 pounds. Wow. Their fang-like teeth allows them to snap up their prey and devour it. At this point, scientists don't know too much about their behavior, however they have concluded that they live a pretty solitary life. Next up in our number 8 spot, we have the harp sponge, also known as the Chondrocladia lyra. I have to say, this sea creature is actually so satisfying to look at for some reason. Anyone else get me? It literally looks like a harp, which makes it so hard to believe that it is a living creature. This sponge-like creature is actually known for its carnivorous appetite. It actually has Velcro-like hooks on the external part of its body, and they trap copepods and other small crustaceans. They then break down its prey until it's able to be absorbed through its pores. So it sucks you in with its Velcro-like body parts and proceeds to eat you. In our 7th spot today, we have the vampire squid. Yes, a real underwater vampire. Despite its name, the vampire squid is actually neither a squid nor an octopus. Scientists have separated it into its own group, even though it is quite similar with 8 arms and 2 tentacles. The vampire squid can grow to around 12 inches in length. Its body varies from completely jet black to red. Its name comes from its dark color, and its skin kind of resembles a cape as its skin is connected to its arms. Fun fact, if one of its arms were to be removed by, say, a predator, then it can regenerate and grow back. That's pretty cool. Coming up in our 6th spot today, we have the barrel-eye fish. Okay, not going to lie, this fish looks like it's from another planet, let alone a parallel universe. It basically looks like it had a run-in with the company that makes those glow-in-the-dark bracelets, and my inner 90s baby is super happy to see this. Do kids these days still use glow-in-the-dark bracelets? Please let me know in the comment section below. The barrel-eye fish is a deep-sea fish, also known as a spookfish, and it got its name because it has barrel-shaped eyes with green lenses. They are known to have large fins, and they're also known to have a transparent head that fills with fluid. Before 2009, scientists actually believed that they could only look up, but they have since observed that the fish can rotate its eyes forward when it's eating. That's pretty cool. The barrel-eye fish is usually seen looking like it's lying down motionless. According to researchers, their transparent heads and green pigmented eyes help in filtering out the sunlight reaching their deep-sea habitat. They have also been found to be in the North Pacific waters and near Baja California and Japan. In our 5th spot today, we have the flapjack octopus. Gosh, why is it named this? Now I'm going to have to eat pancakes after this video. As delicious as its name sounds, its look instantly makes you say, better not. In fact, it looks more like a cute Pokemon if anything, so I'm going to choose to believe that it's really a creature from a universe where Pokemon really exist and it's somehow got into our universe through some underwater portal. The flapjack octopus is a part of the umbrella octopus family, known for their umbrella-like appearance during any kind of movement. It lives between 500 to 1,500 meters below the sea. They are mostly found in the eastern Pacific Ocean, with some sightings in the mid-Atlantic Ocean. They don't have a long lifespan, usually living for 1.5 to 2.5 years. The flapjack octopus eats prawns, lobsters, crayfish, shrimp, krill, crabs, to name a few. When it's ready to hunt, It flattens out its body in order to appear less threatening. The flapjack is another creature found in Finding Nemo, one of Nemo's, class friends named Pearl. In our fourth spot today, we have the Dumbo octopus. As you can probably guess, its nickname came from the fact that its ears are as cute as the famous Disney character, Dumbo. The Dumbo octopus, like the flapjack, is another umbrella octopus, and it can live down to the depths of 13,100 feet, and some scientists speculate even deeper. They are inkless, unlike a lot of their cousins, and they move by slowly flapping their ears, and they use their arms to steer. Fun fact about female Dumbo octopuses, they can actually store sperm for long periods of time after mating with a male. This is to their advantage, of course, because they can then transfer sperm to the most developed eggs when it is the right time for reproducing. No comment, but that sounds great. They eat pelagic invertebrates that swim above the seafloor, and as such, they spend much of their lives suspended above the seafloor. In our third spot today, we have gulper eels. The gulper eel is quite terrifying to look at, and it is definitely the kind of fish that makes me slightly terrified to go swimming in the ocean. But I don't have to worry because they are in the deep sea. I only have to worry about, sharks, stingrays, and stepping on a jellyfish. The gulper eel has a very distinctive trait. It has a very large mouth, and it tends to snap at its prey, similar to a snake. Its large mouth and its ability to open wide allows it to eat creatures you would otherwise assume would be too big for it to eat. It has a very skinny body, long and snake-like. They are about 2 to 3 feet in length, and they live in the deep sea, ranging from 1,600 to almost 10,000 feet below the surface. Known to be the fish of your nightmares, and of course I don't disagree with this. In our second spot today, we have the pelican flounder. This fish is actually found in the Western Pacific and Indian Oceans. The pelican flounder makes itself as flat as possible to counter the pressure levels of the deep sea. Scientists haven't been able to observe this fish much in its natural habitat, and so therefore nothing much is known. But we do know that the pelican larva, however, looks like it is from another dimension, and it has a very alien-like sort of appearance. The larvae are transparent and become brown as they grow into their adult form. They grow to be about 38 centimeters in length. Save the best till last. In our first spot today, we have the blobfish. Most people say that this is the ugliest fish in the world, but personally I think the goblin shark is worse. Would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Which fish is uglier? The blobfish, the goblin shark, or let's throw in the anglerfish too, because that's another gross one. The blobfish has been described to look like a half-melted human reduced to nothing more than a bubble. That is the perfect description of it. It also kind of reminds me of slime, but living. This fish can be found living in the deep sea of the coast of Australia and New Zealand. It is said to be residing in about 2,000 and 3,900 feet deep. Apparently the only reason it looks like the way that it does is because of depressurization damage done while bringing the animal to the surface. It looks like a fairly normal fish though at the bottom of the ocean. The blobfish has an extremely long lifespan of 130 years. It weighs about 20 pounds and it's about 12 inches long. They have no teeth, no skeleton, and they don't spend much energy moving around. So basically their name is quite fitting.
Starting off at our number 10 spot, we have Leviathan. If you're unfamiliar, this is a now extinct genus of macroraptorial sperm whale. It is believed that they could weigh around 100,000 pounds and reach up to 57 feet in length, and it's thought that their size is what helped repel other predators while also helping them become the predator themselves. The Leviathan also had enormous teeth that reached over a foot in length, which is what gave them the title of largest bite of any tetrapod. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Kronosaurus. This Cretaceous marine reptile is one that had an elongated head, a short neck, and a stiff body that was propelled by not just one, but 2 sets of fins that helped propel it through the water and through strong currents in order to capture whatever prey it was after. These guys were somewhere around 30 to 40 feet in length, and they had many long, sharp, conical teeth, with some of them also being enlarged to be fangs. So, yeah. I mean, what more could you want in a terrifying sea creature? Along with the fossils found of these guys, experts have been able to determine some of the stuff they ate, and it includes turtles as well as other pliosauruses, which these guys are a part of that genus, meaning they basically ate their family. In our number 8 spot today, we have the colossal squid. We've got a lot of prehistoric creatures on this list today, but for this one we are taking a dive into our modern ocean. The colossal squid is a creature that is not to be confused with the giant squid, which is similar but slightly smaller. These guys live in the darkest, coldest depths surrounding the waters of Antarctica. This creature lives up to his name as it reaches an average of 46 feet in size and weighs around 500 kilograms, with the females being the largest of the species. They also have large tentacles equipped with suckers that have little razor hooks on them to better latch onto its prey, so let's hope it's not you. Its diet mainly consists of large fish, such as the 7-foot Patagonian toothfish, and small ones, and some even consume their own kind. But they've also been known to try and consume larger prey, like sperm whales, who often have been seen with scars attributing to the battles they must have faced. Only 2 specimens have ever been collected, with the second being found recently in 2014. If you ever wondered where the tales of the Kraken came from, you now know. In our number 7 spot today, we have Jacalopterus. Okay, I've got 3 words for you. Giant sea scorpion. Yeah, this 8-foot-long arthropod lived in the water with its gross 2 large pincers and claws, and honestly it looks like something out of the movie Alien. These guys had segmented bodies, and they were actually the largest known arthropod to have ever existed here on Earth. They had multiple specialized limbs, and some of them even had spikes, like for example their 18-inch spiked claw that was used to snatch fish that passed by. It is said that some of these guys would crawl out of the water in order to mate and sometimes shed their outer skin, and all I have to say is imagine finding an 8-foot-long bolt of one of these creatures on the beach right before jumping in for a swim. I'd swear off all water after that. No thanks. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Helicoprion. Okay, listen, there are many problems with our modern world. We could sit here talking about them all day, and into next week there are so many. But here's the thing we need to realize. Things could be so much worse, and by worse I mean this creature could still exist. This animal existed somewhere around 250 million years ago, and while it looks more like a shark than anything else, scientists now know that it was actually a creature that is more closely related to chimeras, which are a fish that separated from the shark family about 400 million years ago. So why is this animal so scary and just terrible to look at? Well, that is due to the incredibly unsettling spiral saw formation of teeth that this creature had right on their lower jaw. Yeah, an orthodontist's dream, truly. It's also not like this creature was just born with the teeth that they had for the rest of their lives. No, of course not. They had teeth that could grow, and new teeth could even form. Imagine being in the ocean and you see a huge creature swim up to you that has 4 spiral saws for teeth. Yeah. No thanks. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Mosasaurus. During the Cretaceous period, which spanned about 145.5 to 65.5 million years ago, there was this genus of reptiles called Mosasaurus. These guys were absolutely huge aquatic reptiles that roamed throughout the waterways here on Earth. Because of their size, they became apex predators during this time and have been estimated to have grown to be about 56 feet. At the time of their existence, it isn't exactly likely that they would have encountered any sharks that are alarmingly large like the Megalodon was, but I mean, the Cretaceous period certainly had some other massive creatures that put up some pretty stiff competition. This is, of course, like I mentioned, an entire genus, so there are definitely some less threatening species in the mix, but there are some in there who would have given the Meg a run for their money should they have existed at the same time. In our number 4 spot today, we have the big fin squid. Okay, the squids that live in our oceans are terrifying. There's no other way to put it. The big fin squid is not often seen, and thank goodness for that, because they are so unbelievably freaky. They can be found in many different oceans, but they live in the permanently dark zone of the ocean, around 1,219 meters or 4,000 feet deep in the sea. On November 11, 2007, as an ROV was searching around the deep dark waters in the Gulf of Mexico, it was able to catch one of these guys on film. While there is still a ton that remains a mystery about these elusive creatures, it is believed that they can grow to be around 23 feet long or over 7 meters. The real creepy stance that these guys have is when they hold their really long appendages perpendicular to their body, which creates like a sort of elbow look. In our number 3 spot today, we have the plesiosaurus. These guys are a prehistoric creature that was massive and grew to be about 43 feet long. They had these super long necks that basically took up like half of their body, and even though they were so massive, they had no trouble moving efficiently through the water. These creatures had 4 flippers, so our best guess as to how they swam would be sort of like a penguin. Their front limbs did most of the work, while the back ones kind of did like the steering. Fossils have been able to show us that these creatures gave birth to live young and are actually kind of similar to dolphins in the way they take care of their young. It is thought that these just may be the creatures that inspired the tales of the Loch Ness Monster. In our number 2 spot today, we have the basilosaurus. These guys have a name that translates to king lizard, and they are a genus of large predatory prehistoric whales that lived during the Eocene, which is approximately 41.3 to 33.9 million years ago. These guys were actually first described in 1834, which makes them the first prehistoric whale known to science, which is kind of cool. These guys were one of the largest, if not the largest, of their time, and they were the top predators of their environment. They preyed on sharks, large fish, other marine animals, including the dolphin-like Dorudon. Really, they were able to eat basically anything that they felt like eating. These guys even had teeth that were various types, like canines and molars, which probably allowed these creatures to chew their food, which is different to their more modern ancestors. In our number 1 spot today, we have the pliosaurus, another massive prehistoric creature, also not to be confused with the plesiosaurus. These guys grew to be around 40 feet long and about the size of some of the whales we would see today. These creatures are best known for their insane hunting abilities. They could move quickly and they were quite strong. This effective predator skill set, coupled with their massive size, allowed them the ability to take down much larger prey, sometimes even dinosaurs. According to experts, these guys had exceptionally strong jaws. Some even believe that it might have had a bite just as powerful as the T-Rex, which is of course known for having one of the most powerful bites of any land animal. I'm just saying, these guys were definitely a top predator in their day. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the Mosasaurus. During the Cretaceous period, which spanned about 145.5 to 65.5 million years ago, there was this genus of reptiles called Mosasauruses. These things were absolutely huge aquatic reptiles that roamed throughout the waterways here on Earth. Because of their size, they became apex predators during this time and have been estimated to have grown to about 56 feet. At the time of their existence, it isn't exactly likely that they would have encountered any sharks that are alarmingly large like the Megalodon was, but I mean, the Cretaceous period certainly had some other massive creatures that put up some stiff competition. This is of course, like I mentioned, an entire genus, so there are definitely some less threatening species in the mix, but there are some in there who would have given the Meg a run for their money should they have existed at the same time. In our number 9 spot today, we have the frilled shark. Okay, regular sharks are of course scary and powerful, but the frilled shark looks extra terrifying because it actually just looks like a full-on monster. The frilled shark is a species of deep-sea shark that got its name from the 6 to 7 frilled gills it has on the sides of its snake-like body. This shark can grow up to 1.8 meters or 6 feet long, and its mouth is full of 300 razor-sharp teeth. This shark was one of the first deep-sea species to ever be discovered because how could you possibly miss something that looks like this? But because it makes its home so deep in the ocean, and because of the fact that it cannot withstand the pressure change when brought up closer to the surface, a lot remains a mystery about these guys. What's worse than a shark is a mysterious shark. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Helicoprion. Sure. Okay, listen. There are many problems with our modern world. We could sit here talking about them all day and into next week, there are so many. But here's one thing that we need to realize. Things could be so much worse, and by worse, I mean this creature could still exist. This animal existed somewhere around 250 million years ago, and while it looks more like a shark than anything else, scientists now know that it's actually a creature that is related more closely to chimeras, which are a fish that separated from the shark family about 400 million years ago. So why is this animal so scary and just terrible to look at? Well, that is due to the incredibly unsettling spiral saw formation of teeth that this creature had right on their lower jaw. Yeah, an orthodontist's dream, truly. It's also not like this creature was just born with the teeth that they had for the rest of their lives. No, of course not. They had teeth that could grow, and new teeth could even form. Imagine being in the ocean and you see a huge creature swim up to you that has 4 spiral saws for teeth. Yeah, no thanks. In our number 7 spot today we have the deep sea dragonfish. These guys are a pretty strong contender for strangest looking animal on this list. These predatory fish use their fang-like teeth to grab onto their prey in their dark, cold, deep sea environment. They have no scales and instead slippery eel-like skin, which only adds to their creepiness level. Similar to an anglerfish, these guys have a little lighted barbel that hangs from its lower jaw to attract its prey towards it. These fish really use bioluminescence to their advantage, but they also have another, less common ability. Firstly, since many of their prey are also bioluminescent, they have a special stomach that will ensure the light cannot be seen from inside of their stomach so as to not give away their position. And secondly, they are also able to produce a red glow. This glow is thought to perhaps be used to signal other dragonfish, but it is definitely used by them to illuminate and detect their prey. They are the only known fish that has the ability to both produce and see red light, as most fish can only see a more blue light. So while these guys are definitely very creepy to look at, they're also pretty interesting and talented. In our number 6 spot today we have the Jacalopterus. Okay, I've got 3 words for you. Giant sea scorpion. Yeah, remind me to never go into prehistoric oceans. This 8-foot-long arthropod lived in the water with its gross, 2 large pinchers and claws, and honestly, it looks like something out of the movie Alien. These guys had segmented bodies, and they're actually the largest known arthropod to have ever existed here on Earth. They had multiple specialized limbs, and some of them even had spikes, like for example, their 18-inch spiked claw that was used to snatch fish as they passed by. It is said that some of these guys would crawl out of the water in order to mate, and sometimes shed their outer skin, and all I have to say is imagine finding an 8-foot-long molt of one of these creatures on the beach right before you're about to jump in for a swim. You wouldn't, right? I'd swear off all water after that. Not even drinking it anymore. In our number 5 spot today we have the goblin shark. A goblin shark is sometimes called a living fossil because the rest of the family that this type of shark belongs to have actually gone extinct. These sharks have pink skin and a long snout that sticks out really far, and these really creepy teeth that are like nails. When these sharks were first discovered by humans in 1910, the guy who was researching them wrote that the new shark is certainly grotesque, and honestly, not much has changed since then. I'd definitely be inclined to agree. They usually grow to around 3 or 4 meters, which is 10 to 13 feet, but in 2000 there was one that was caught that was 6 meters or 20 feet long. These sharks tend to stay pretty deep in the ocean, with the adults swimming even deeper than the young ones, so the good news about that is they probably aren't much of a threat to humans. In our number 4 spot today we have the Kronosaurus. This Cretaceous marine reptile is one that had an elongated head, a short neck, and a stiff body that was propelled by not just 1, but 2 sets of fins that helped propel it through the water and through strong currents in order to capture whatever prey it was after. These guys were somewhere around 30 to 40 feet in length, and they had many long, sharp, conical teeth, with some of them being enlarged to be fangs. So yeah, I mean, what more could you want in a terrifying sea creature? Along with the fossils found of these guys, experts have been able to determine some of the stuff they ate, and it includes turtles, as well as other pliosaurs, which these guys are a part of that genus, meaning they basically ate their own family. I'm just saying, the Meg might have some stiff competition when it comes to these guys. In our number 3 spot today we have stonefish. These fish are one of the most venomous known fish, and although they are primarily marine, some species are known to live in rivers as well. Most of these guys can be found in coral reefs near the tropical Pacific and Indian Oceans. The name of these fish comes from their camouflage color, which allows them to blend in with their surroundings, but unfortunately because they are so good at disguising themselves, swimmers may not notice or see them and then inadvertently step on them, which can cause a whole slew of issues. When a stonefish is disturbed, it will inject an amount of venom proportional to the amount of pressure it's feeling, and this venom is coming from the glands at the base of their needle-like dorsal fin. The sting of a stonefish is said to be extremely painful, and if left untreated, it can certainly be fatal. The poison within the venom that the stonefish possesses is a proteinaceous toxin called verrucotoxin. The symptoms of this poison include respiratory weakness, damage to the cardiovascular system, delirium, convulsions, and paralysis. Although there are many studies that have been done on this toxin, much about how it works and the exact mechanisms of it are not yet fully understood, which just places this already terrifying creature in a cloud of mystery. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Leviathan. If we were to look at our ocean today, we of course would see sharks as one of the top predators that exist. I mean, some sharks are huge and they certainly know how to hunt, but they aren't the only scary creatures roaming the oceans. Sometimes killer whales make such a grand appearance that they even scare off some of the most terrifying sharks and make them flee for incredible distances. This is something that was also seen many years ago, I mean millions of years ago, during the time of the Megalodon, and that is thanks to a gigantic creature known as the Leviathan. If you are unfamiliar, this is a now extinct genus of macroraptorial sperm whale. It is believed that they could weigh around 100,000 pounds and reach up to 57 feet in length, and it's thought that their size is what helped repel other predators while helping them become the predator themselves. The Leviathan also had enormous teeth that reached over a foot in length, which is what gave them the title of largest bite of any tetrapod ever. In our number 1 spot today, we have the long-armed squid. Listen, not all that terrifying, but they're just so creepy and gross. The big fin squid is not often seen, and thank goodness for that, because they're so unbelievably freaky. They can be found in many different oceans, but they live in the permanently dark zone of the ocean, around 1,219 meters or 4,000 feet deep in the sea. On November 11th, 2007, as an ROV was searching around the deep waters in the Gulf of Mexico, it was able to catch one of these guys on film. While there is still a ton that remains a mystery about these very elusive creatures, it is believed that they can grow to be around 23 feet long or over 7 meters. The real creepy stance that these guys have is when they hold their extremely long appendages perpendicular to their body, which creates like a sort of elbow look. I don't know, it just freaks me out. Imagine waking up and having a giant squid with elbows floating around your room. I know it's not gonna happen, but I'm just saying, that would be very scary. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have Foraminifera. These guys are giant, single-celled organisms that are kind of like oversized amoebas, and they can be found in the sediment on seabeds throughout the world. In 1995, however, when Japanese researchers were able to collect samples of sediment located in the Mariana Trench, they found 432 living Foraminifera. I know I made these guys sound really large before, but I just mean large in terms of the single-celled organism world. They are still super tiny, and they are usually found with a hard outer shell, but not these ones that were found in the trench. These guys have found a way to adapt by basically building their own shells from proteins, organic polymers, and even sand. The ones most commonly found in the Mariana Trench are called xenophyophores, and these guys use the fact that grains of sand are mostly made of silicon dioxide, which is the main constituent of glass, to their advantage. They basically glue sand from ocean sediments, cast-off shells, and microbial skeletons to make their own kind of pressure-proof shells. So I guess these guys really are like the engineers of the deep sea. In our number 9 spot today, we have the benthocodone. We have all seen a jellyfish before, but these deep sea dwellers are unlike any of the ones that we usually find. Firstly, they prefer depths of around 2,500 feet or 762 meters, usually right on the sea floor. These guys are actually quite small and compact, with their bell usually measuring just 2 to 3 centimeters in diameter. Despite their small size, however, they still have around 1,500 little wispy tentacles that help to propel them through the icy cold depths. These jellies like to chow down on small crustaceans and tiny unicellular organisms, but sometimes their meals are bioluminescent, which is what has led them to develop one of the other unique features on these jellies. This unique feature would be the red color that can be found in part of their bell. Most jellyfish we know of are transparent, and if this was the case for these ones, their bioluminescent meals would be a dead giveaway for the larger hungry predators lurking around the deep sea. This is why the bit of a red that they have in the bell is so important to their survival, as it acts as a cover for this blue glow so that they continue on their merry way throughout the dark depths of the ocean. In our number 8 spot today, we have aluminum plated amphipods. These guys are found throughout the Mariana Trench, including in the Challenge Challenger Deep, which is the deepest part of the trench. Amphipods usually have shells made out of calcium carbonate, but the extreme environment in these guys' habitats makes their shells basically just dissolve. They of course can't just be walking around naked and shellless, so what do? They adapt in order to preserve their shells. After collecting some of these guys from the deepest parts of the ocean, scientists were able to realize that their exoskeleton contained aluminum on the surface, which then led to the question, how did these guys find the metal since it is pretty sparse in seawater? Well, as it turns out, these guys use sugar-based chemicals in their bellies to extract aluminum ions from the mud on the sea floor that it ends up ingesting while devouring the plant debris that floats down from the surface. In alkaline seawater, these aluminum ions form what is called aluminum hydroxide gel, which is a compound that we as humans use for things like protecting our upset stomachs from stomach acid. This gel then coats their shell and acts as a type of chemical protection so as to keep the calcium carbonate exoskeleton from dissolving. I don't know, I just think that's one of the coolest things that I've ever heard a shrimp do. This is the first known amphipod to do something like this, and these guys are now an important part of researching how maybe one day we can find an environmentally friendly way to produce aluminum. In our number 7 spot today, we have the deep sea hermit crab. Okay, many of us have seen or at least heard of a hermit crab before, so at first thought they're the weirdest thing out there, but as it turns out, the deep sea variety is quite interesting. Instead of these guys carrying around empty gastropod shells like the hermit crabs we're used to, these guys instead carry around sea anemones, and it is one of the weirdest looking things I've ever seen in my life. It looks like these crabs are missing a pair of legs, but instead the legs have actually been adapted to hold the anemone in place. It's definitely an incredible evolutionary advancement for these crabs, but I just can't help but be creeped out by it. In our number 6 spot today, we have barophilic bacteria. This bacteria is characterized by its preference for an environment with pressure greater than atmospheric pressure, which of course makes a place like the Mariana Trench a perfect candidate for a home. These bacteria have been isolated from deep sea environments and found to grow rapidly at low temperatures and high pressures. This low temperature high pressure combo that is found in the deep sea environment is usually the cause for the decrease of the fluidity of lipids, as well as the depression of the function of biological membranes, but this doesn't happen in this bacteria, which has led to the theory that they must have some sort of mutation to have a sort of mechanism that allows their lipids to adapt to their extreme environments. Aside from their superpower, these bacteria help to support life by being a source of carbon for the deep sea animals that end up ingesting them. In our number 5 spot today, we have vent crabs. Vent crabs are so named because they absolutely love and thrive in the extreme environment that is found at hydrothermal vents. These white crabs are actually endemic to hydrothermal vents, and they were first described in 1980. The crabs in this family are usually blind and abundant. In fact, their numbers are so vast that scientists often use the clusters of them to help find the location of hydrothermal vents. The eyes of vent crabs are what I really want to talk about today because they change throughout their life, which helps them adapt to their environment. Young vent crabs usually have eyes that would be comparable to their shallow water companions, but upon metamorphosis, their eyes degenerate and they become naked retinas. Hydrothermal vents produce light in the infrared wavelengths, and this change in the vent crab's eyes was made through evolution because it actually allows them to better see this light, although it causes them to not be able to see most other things. It's like a similar concept to night vision goggles. So basically, vent crabs have night vision. Kind of. It is so interesting to see and learn about how deep sea creatures adapt to their individual environments and circumstances. In our number 4 spot today, we have baby shark. So apparently, shark fetuses with 2 heads are becoming more common around the world. Who would have thought? According to experts, the mutation that leads to this trait is known as axial bifurcation, and it's seen not just in sharks but other animals as well, including humans. The question though is why it is starting to happen more and more often in sharks. Sadly, this mutation has quite a negative impact on the sharks, as it is unlikely that the sharks with this mutation will even live to see their own birth, but for those who do survive until birth, it is highly unlikely that they will survive long in the wild. Right now, scientists are working hard to figure out what is causing this mutation specifically in the sharks. The leading theories include overfishing, which is leading to a smaller gene pool and thus a higher susceptibility to genetic mutations, or even potentially things like metabolic disorders, pollution, pollution, or viral infections. In our number 3 spot today, we have the brittle star. This is a species that was found in 2011, but it took 10 years for it to be researched and fully classified, which happened just last year in 2021. This is a species of brittle star that was found during an expedition on the Banque Durand seamount, which is off of the coast of New Caledonia in the Pacific Ocean. This specific brittle star first caught the attention of experts because of 2 atypical features. One was that it had 8 arms. This was unusual because most have 5, and the other unusual feature is their 8 sets of razor-sharp teeth. It is believed that these teeth, which line every jaw, are used to snare and shred their prey. This creature definitely is quite remarkable and is the product of millions of years of evolution, where it has adapted and changed greatly to fit its needs and the changing environment around it, but it is likely the last survivor of an ancient lineage which dates back to the Jurassic period. In our number 2 spot today, we have giant isopods. Despite their appearance, these guys are neither aliens or pillbugs and are just one of those strange and weirdly large deep-sea creatures. These rather large crustaceans can reach lengths of around 15 inches, and while that's not the biggest deep-sea creature out there, that's pretty insane for the isopod world. These guys get their size from what is known as deep-sea gigantism, which is an evolutionary tendency for deep-sea creatures to grow larger than their shallow water counterparts. It isn't exactly clear why this happens, but it does and is seen in a few different species. It is thought that this may be due to the cold temperatures, which may increase cell size and lifespan, which both may lead to increased body size. In our number 1 spot today, we have the deep-sea dragonfish. These guys are a pretty strong contender for strangest looking animal on this list. These predatory fish use their fang-like teeth to grab onto their prey in their dark, cold deep sea environment. They have no scales and instead have slippery eel-like skin, which only adds to their creepiness level. Similar to the anglerfish, which you might be familiar with thanks to the Disney Pixar classic Finding Nemo, these guys have a little lighted barbell that hangs from its lower jaw in order to attract its prey towards it. These fish really use bioluminescence to their advantage, but they also have another, less common ability. Firstly, since many of their prey are also bioluminescent, they have adapted to have a special stomach that will ensure that the light cannot be seen from inside of their stomach so as to not give away their position. Secondly, they're able to produce a red glow. This glow is thought to perhaps be used to signal other dragonfish, but it is definitely used by them to illuminate and detect their prey. They are the only known fish that has the ability to both produce and see red light, as most fish can only see more of a blue light. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Xiphactinus. Xiphactinus was a prehistoric fish that lived during the late Cretaceous period around 85 million years ago. It was a predatory fish that could grow up to 20 feet in length and weighed up to 1,500 pounds, making it one of the largest bony fish of all time. This fish had a long, streamlined body with powerful jaws and sharp teeth that allowed it to hunt and devour smaller fish and marine reptiles. It had a unique adaptation in its skeleton with a hinged lower jaw that could open very wide, allowing it to swallow prey whole. How terrifying is that? Fossils of this fish have been found in North America, particularly in what is now Kansas and Alabama, as well as in Europe and South America. It is believed that this fish went extinct along with the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period, around 66 million years ago. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Godzilla shark. With a name like that, this creature is surely anything but disappointing. About 300 million years ago, these guys ruled the sea and were one of the most terrifying sea creatures ever on our planet. Fossils of these guys have been found in the Mazzano Mountains, which lie east of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they were found in 2013 by paleontologist John Paul Hodnett. So think of a massive shark, but now picture it covered in scales, like a reptile. Okay, now add 12 rows of super sharp teeth, and also the largest dorsal fin spines of any shark that has ever lived. Okay, so now you've pretty much got a Godzilla shark. It was nicknamed the Godzilla shark because of its size, as the skeleton is the largest fossil of its kind ever discovered in the area, as well as the fact that its fin spines are so intriguing to look at. While it was called the Godzilla shark upon its discovery, it has since received a more official name of Hoffman's dragon shark, both to honor the family that owned the land where the skeleton was found, and as an homage to its monstrous and reptilian appearance. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Temnodontosaurus. Temnodontosaurus is a genus of extinct marine reptile belonging to the group of ichthyosaurs. They lived during the Jurassic period, approximately 180 to 150 million years ago. These guys were a large predator that could grow up to 33 feet or 10 meters long, with a very long and streamlined body that allowed it to swim quickly through the water. These guys had a long snout filled with sharp teeth that it likely used to catch and eat fish and squid. Fossil evidence suggests that they may have also been cannibalistic, with larger individuals preying on smaller ones. Like in ichthyosaurs, these guys gave birth to live young rather than laying eggs. I mean, it's the ocean. Several species of these guys have been described, with the most well-known being T. platyodon. This species was first described in the early 19th century and is known from fossil remains found in Europe, particularly in Germany and the UK. T. platyodon was named for its flattened teeth, which were adapted for crushing the shells of its prey. Overall, these guys were a formidable predator that dominated the Jurassic seas. Its large size and sharp teeth made it a fearsome sight for any smaller creatures that happened to cross its path. In our number 7 spot today, we have the Tylosaurus. These creatures belong to the family of mosasaurs, and they have long eel-like bodies that allowed them to smoothly cruise through the waters. They had the ability to have intense bursts of speed that propelled them to their prey, which they could quickly take down. The snout of these creatures is thought to have been quite large and robust compared to other species of mosasaurs, which has led researchers to believe that they may have used it to their advantage. To do this, they might have rammed into larger prey so that they were stunned. This gave them time to turn around and finish the prey with their large jaws. Despite these specialized skills, it seems as though these guys weren't very picky with what they ate, as they have been found with all kinds of remains found in their stomach area. These creatures were very large, but they are also way faster and more agile compared to other mosasaurs. What more could you want in a prehistoric predator? In our number 6 spot today, we have Heliocostis moroccensis. These guys are an extinct animal that lived around 520 million years ago during the Cambrian period. They were a small, bizarre-looking creature with a spiral-shaped body and a mouth surrounded by tentacles. These guys are known from fossil remains found in Morocco. Scientists believe that these guys were a filter feeder, using their tentacles to capture plankton from the water. The spiral shape of its body may have helped to control its buoyancy and to help them just stay afloat in the water. Its mouth was located at the center of the spiral, and its tentacles extended outward to capture food. These guys are a very important animal in the study of early life on Earth because it belongs to a group of animals known as echinoderms. Echinoderms are a diverse group of animals that include modern-day sea stars, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers, all of the weird things sitting on the ocean floor. The discovery of these guys has helped scientists to better understand the evolution and the diversity of echinoderms. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Megalodon. Okay, my favorite, your favorite, everyone's favorite. Is any terrifying prehistoric sea creatures list truly complete without an appearance from the Meg? Megalodons are one of the largest sharks to have ever existed. They were huge, they were terrifying, they were apex predators, and they are the creatures that inspired the tales of Jaws, or the Meg. The teeth on these sharks are so large that they are 3 times larger than the teeth of a modern great white shark. With teeth that size, you can only imagine how large this shark would have been. It's pretty tough to figure out exactly why the Megalodon died out. I mean, they were one of the largest, scariest creatures who shouldn't have had any trouble getting food, but that might not be the case. Some believe it was the cooling waters, others believe it was the competition for food. Whatever the case in the end, while the Megalodon is an incredible creature in history, I think we can all breathe a sigh of relief that they aren't currently swimming around our oceans. Or are they? In our number 4 spot today, we have the Opabinia regalis. Opabinia regalis is an extinct animal that lived around 505 million years ago during the Cambrian period. It was a small, bizarre-looking creature with a long, segmented body that measured up to about 7 centimeters in length. Pretty tiny compared to the other giants on this list. Opabinia had 5 eyes and a nozzle-like proboscis at the front of its body, which is likely used to grab prey from the sea floor. Opabinia is an important animal animal in the study of early life on Earth because it belongs to a group of animals known as arthropods. Arthropods are a diverse group of animals that includes things like insects, spiders, and crustaceans. Opabinia is unique among arthropods because of its unusual body plan and its feeding habits. They likely fed on small invertebrates and other small animals on the sea floor. Its proboscis may have been used to probe the sediment for prey, and its 5 eyes likely helped it to locate prey in low light conditions. These guys are known from fossil remains found in the Burgess Shale Formation in British Columbia, right here in Canada. The Burgess Shale is a world-famous fossil site that has yielded many important discoveries in the study of early life on Earth. Opabinia is just one of the many fascinating and bizarre creatures that lived during the Cambrian period. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Helicoprion. This animal existed somewhere around 250 million years ago, and while it looks more like a shark than anything else, scientists now know that it was actually a creature that is related more closely to chimeras, which are a fish that separated from the shark family about 400 million years ago. So why is this animal just so scary and terrible to look at? Well, that is due to the incredibly unsettling spiral saw formation of teeth that this creature had right on their lower jaw. Yeah, an orthodontist's dream, truly. It's also not like this creature was just born with this teeth that they had for the rest of their lives. No, of course not. They had teeth that could grow, and new teeth could even form. Imagine being in the ocean and you see a huge creature swim up to you that has 4 spiral saws for teeth. Yeah. No thanks. Never going swimming. In our number 2 spot today, we have Cephalaspis. Cephalaspis is an extinct fish that lived around 400 to 360 million years ago during the Devonian period. It has a flattened armored head and a small streamlined body that measured up to about 60 centimeters in length. These guys likely lived in freshwater environments and fed on small invertebrates and plankton. These guys had a bony plate on the top of their head that protected their brain and their sensory organs. This plate, known as a cephalic shield, was shaped like a triangle and had 2 large openings for the eyes. These guys also had a pair of small paddle-shaped fins near the front of their body that they used for swimming. These guys are an important animal in the study of early fish evolution because it is one of the earliest known jawless fish. Jawless fish include modern-day lampreys and hagfish. They lack the jaws and paired fins that are found in most modern fish. These guys are known from their fossil remains that have been found in many parts of the world, including Europe, North America, and Asia. The discovery of these guys have helped scientists to better understand the early evolution of fish and the diversification of life during the Devonian period. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have Anomalocaris. These guys are an extinct animal that lived around 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period, and they were a large predatory animal that measured up to a meter in length. These guys had a circular mouth surrounded by spiny plates, which it likely used to grasp and crush its prey. These guys are an important animal in the study of early life because they are one of the earliest known arthropods. These guys are unique among arthropods, however, because they have a very unusual body plan and also unusual feeding habits. They had a segmented body and a pair of large paddle-shaped appendages at the front that helped it swim through the oceans. Its circular mouth was lined with sharp teeth, and its spiny plates may have been used to grasp and manipulate their prey. These guys are known from fossil remains found in many parts of the world, including Canada, China, and Australia. They're kind of all over the place. The discovery of these guys has helped scientists to better understand the early evolution of arthropods and just, what was going on during the Cambrian period.
Starting off this countdown, we have the ultra black fish. There are a couple of ultra black fish that are so dark that they are almost invisible. At least 16 species of these fish have specialized skin, which makes them almost impossible to detect. Their skin is so unique that they absorb 99.95% of all photons. This makes them blacker than black. Even under a harsh spotlight, these creatures appear as mere silhouettes. That's why it's also so hard to capture a photo of them. One scientist said, and I quote, "It didn't matter how you set up the camera or lighting, they just sucked up all the light." So in a way, these fish have a cloak of invisibility, and that's why it's so easy for them to sneak up on their prey. With features like this, it literally makes them seem like they came from another universe.
In our 9th spot today we have the brittle star. For this one I want to take a look at one brittle star in particular, and that's one that's named the Game of Thrones star. That's because its appendages look like the thorny crown found on the second Game of Thrones book cover, A Clash of Kings. Now what's weird about these creatures is that they don't have any brains or eyes, yet they somehow know what they need to do in order to survive. Like dude, it's literally a brainless organism wandering around the bottom of the ocean, and when fish get close to it, they reach out their tentacles and wrap them in a spiral and then eat them. Take a look at them. They literally look like creepy little brainless aliens. I refuse to believe that they're real. Like, I mean, obviously they are real, but like, that's a creature straight out of a horror film. In our 8th spot today we have the black swallower. This is a deep sea fish with a big appetite, and it can handle more than it looks like it can. That's because it's slender in size, but its stomach can expand up to 10 times its original size. In fact, it can swallow big fish whole, and then the fish stays in their stomach, which gets stretched into transparency. In fact, sometimes their food starts rotting in their stomach before they even get to finish digesting it. No wonder it was given the name the swallower fish. Just look at that thing. In our 7th spot today we have the Pacific black dragon. Now this is one of the sea creatures that is considered to be ultra black, so it easily blends into the depths of the ocean where no light reaches. Now this creature literally looks like an alien from Predator. Look at this! Look at its creepy beady eyes and sharp teeth and like long chin whiskers. It's undeniably creepy. Now the males are small. They grow to be about 3 inches in length. Now they're the weird ones. They have no teeth, no chin whisker thing, and no stomach. And since it has no stomach, it's unable to eat. Isn't that weird? It literally lives only long enough to mate, and then it dies. Now the female black dragons are the scary ones. These ones can grow to about 2 feet. Yes, 2 feet. And they're the ones with the big fang-like teeth, and they have that whisker or barbel. At the end of that whisker thing, there's this little light that can turn on to attract prey. So fish swimming by are like, ooh, what's this glowy thing? I hope it tastes good. And then they go to eat it, and then the black dragon is like, psych, it's me, and then they gobble the fish whole. They also emit poison, which is very dangerous and deadly to their predators. I swear, this video is making me scared of the ocean now. In our 6th spot, we have the zombie worm. In another universe, we have worms that live in the ocean and devour bones. Just kidding, they're real, and these zombie worms are from our universe. Again, I really don't understand how they are real. So these worms are about 1 to 3 inches, so they aren't that big. However, they are very creepy. These tiny things like to devour great big whale bones, and their style of eating is pretty weird, especially since they don't have mouths or stomachs. So basically they secrete an acid from their skin that is so strong that it can dissolve bones. This then breaks down the bone's fats and proteins from the inside, which they then digest. How delicious. Now they don't just attack whale bones though. They'll tackle fish bones, even cow bones. I know what you're thinking, how are cows in the ocean? Well, sometimes cows or other animals get dumped into the ocean, so they'll take whatever they can get. That's not even the weirdest part, okay? The weirdest part is that the male zombie worms live inside the female ones. One study counted 111 males inside just one female zombie worm. Just one. Again, how is this real? Like, it literally sounds made up. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the hagfish, also known as slime eels, even though they aren't eels. Now, these ones gross me out because they literally look like human intestines. But what's even more gross are their feeding habits. So basically, they consume other sea creatures by burrowing their way into them. Here's an image of them literally eating a dead shark. They literally create a massive tunnel into the creatures and eat them from the inside out. Ooh. But not only that, they secrete the slime to ward off predators. The slime is so sticky that it can clog the gills of its attackers. Take a look at this video of it repelling a shark. Like what? The shark literally went to chomp it and then it got deterred, and the hagfish was left unharmed somehow. Moving on to number 4, we have the three-eyed fish. Now, when this creature was discovered in 2011 by an Argentinian man, people went crazy. So he was out on a fishing trip with some friends when he caught this fish. A literal mutated three-eyed fish. Now, it's quite possible that you've heard of this fish before, because in The Simpsons there is a three-eyed fish known as Blinky. Bart fishes it up near the Springfield power plant in season 2, episode 4. So people were like, oh my god, The Simpsons predicted this fish. It was especially eerie since the fish was caught in a reservoir where a power plant pumps hot water from their facility and the water is pretty polluted. Honestly, anything with multiple eyes are not from this world. They're just not. In our third spot today, we have the mutant sea creature. In 2018, a strange looking sea creature was found floating along the shore of a beach in China. Everyone was like, what is that? And they were scared to go near it. I mean, it wasn't anything they had ever seen before, but one man wasn't afraid, so he actually went near it and picked it up. And that's when the animal started moving its head and limbs. This creature, who is not yet identified, has a human-like head with some sort of short stubby arms and legs. Theories range from a new species of sea life to a mutated starfish or a mutated sea sponge. What do you think it is though? Whatever it is, it's very creepy and alien-like. In our second spot today, we have the goblin shark. Now this is unlike any shark I have ever seen before, and that's because it has the weirdest face ever. Like, I'm sorry, but it doesn't look like a shark. That's what I imagine a human crossed with a shark would look like. So these creatures can grow 12 feet long and can weigh up to 460 pounds. It was thought that 13 feet was the biggest that they could grow to, but in 2000 they found a giant goblin shark that was 20 feet long. So now researchers say that they have no real idea about how big these creatures can truly get. Now this thing has one of the creepiest looking faces. It's got a super long nose with a weird Voldemort nostrils, pink flesh, making it look like it was skinned alive, and of course, look at its sharp teeth. But it gets worse. These sharks don't hunt their prey down. Instead, they wait for their prey to come to them. They're just chilling in the water, and once a fish gets close enough, they launch their jaws out and clamp down on them. Yeah, their top and bottom teeth are attached to ligaments, so they can reach out and extend its mouth to grab its prey. And its mouth can launch out to about 10.1 feet per second. And its mouth opens super wide. It can open at a 111 degrees angle. And in our number one spot today, we have the barrel eye fish. Now this fish literally has a see-through head. Not only that, but the thing that you see there, which looks like a brain, is not a brain. It's actually its eyes. Their eyes can rotate in all different directions. They can even look up to see above them through their see-through head. You guys are probably tired of me saying this, but how is this a real creature? I'm sorry, but this fish has a glowing see-through head. Like, that's not normal. Starting off this countdown, we have the Kraken caught on camera. So over the years, scientists have been determined to seek the validity of the Kraken. In fact, in 2012, they wanted to capture one on camera, and their wish came true. The team of researchers did this by lowering a camera 2,000 feet below the sea south of Japan. They also lowered down a custom lure that they called E-Jelly. Basically, it was a small spinning ring of neon blue lights that was attached to an outstretched mechanic arm. The light would move in ways mimicking a bioluminescent jellyfish. They didn't want to use real live bait as they were afraid it would attract other sea creatures. And the light bait worked perfectly fine. In the end, a giant squid was captured coming towards the camera and wrapping itself around the light bait, and eventually it even attacked the camera. People believe that the Kraken is just a giant squid, so what the scientists caught on camera could be the Kraken. In our ninth spot today, we have a most terrible creature. In 1734, Danish missionary Hans Edge wrote in his journal that he was aboard a ship that encountered what sounds to be like a kraken. In his entry dated July 6, 1734, he wrote about how he saw a most terrible creature, as he called it, resembling nothing that he had ever seen before. The monster lifted its head high in the water, so high that it was taller than the crow's nest on the ship. The creature was using giant fins or tentacles to help propel itself through the water. He wrote that it was longer than their ship and it shook everyone on board. The drawings accompanied by this account look just like how we picture the Kraken, so maybe they really did encounter one. In In our 8th spot today, we have the sea beast of Google Earth. Google Earth was doing its job snapping photos of the land when something was caught lurking in the waters. Now, we don't know for sure what exactly it is, but what we do know is that whatever it is massive. So the picture was taken off the coast of Deception Island in Antarctica. And with a name like that, it's pretty fitting that a kraken may be living in its waters. The satellite image shows some gray creature with a big, roundish head and tentacles. Now, it is hard to tell what it is, but people do believe that it's a giant squid or kraken. And whatever it is, it made some pretty big waves in the water around it. It's just a good thing that no one was around when this beast was splashing about. Moving on to number 7, we have the king and his beast. One of the first sightings of the kraken was written by King Sverre of Norway in 1180. In his entry, he wrote about how this beast was some kind of squid-like monster and how it threatened the seas. He warned sailors that they should be careful sailing in the dangerous seas as they were home to many beasts. In our 6th spot, we have newfound krakens. Over the years in Newfoundland, a number of body parts have washed up on shore. The body parts are said to belong to none other than the kraken. The earliest known time of this happening was in 1873. That's when the kraken apparently attacked a boat, and in an attempt to escape, the people on board hacked off the creature's tentacles. Only then did it let go of their boat and leave them alone. A few weeks later, more limbs were discovered. However, this time, they just washed up on shore by themselves. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the North Pole kraken. Apparently, there are krakens located all over the world. We've had sightings in Japan, Canada, now the North Pole. Over the years, a number of weird creatures have been spotted in the North Pole in the Arctic Sea. All sightings are pretty much the same. They see a massive dark figure lurking underwater with what appears to be long, snake-like tentacles coming out from their body. The creatures never rise out of the water, but the witnesses see them swim by in the dark waters. In our 4th spot today, we have the aggressive kraken. In 2005, 2 Japanese marine biologists discovered what they believed to be the kraken. Basically, there were reports of a squid attacking bait lines. Turns out that this was a massive squid, and it was aggressively attacking these baited lines in the area. Now, they did actually manage to capture footage of it, and they were able to identify the creature as being an Archaetuetus. This is a rare species that can seize bait with extreme force. Also, they're known for being pretty violent. And this creature was close to 30 feet in length, which is pretty massive. They can even attack ships. So this got them thinking, what if this species of aggressive giant squids are what people call krakens? In our 3rd spot today, we have giant squids. In 1870, a giant squid washed up in New Zealand. It was said to be as tall as the top of a ship's main mast, and it could easily take over a ship by wrapping its tentacles around the hull and crushing it. Is it true? Who knows? But around 2005, scientists caught a photo of one. Now they believe that there are millions of them out there, some of course bigger than others, and some more aggressive than others. In our 2nd spot, we have the dead kraken. In 2020, a dead giant squid or kraken washed ashore at a beach in South Africa. Resident Adele Gross was the one who came across it, and her initial instinct was to try and save its life. She said, and I quote, "At first I just wanted to get it back into the ocean, but on closer observation one could see that it was dead." She apparently was out walking on the beach with her husband when they stumbled upon this squid. They both were taken aback by its appearance. After realizing that it was indeed dead and there was no use saving it, they decided to figure out how it died. Apparently, the night before, they spotted big swells in the same area that the squid was found. But upon closer inspection, the squid did not have any bite marks or injuries that they could see. So to this day, this beast remains a mystery. How did it die? And does it have any bigger relatives living out there? And in our number 1 spot today, we have the unknown kraken. In 1848, a number of men were aboard the Royal Navy's HMS Daedalus when they encountered this weird sea creature. Captain Peter McQuay wrote, and I quote, "It was an enormous serpent. Its color a dark brown, with yellowish white about the throat. It had no fins, but something like the mane of a horse, or rather a bunch of seaweed washed about its back." He continued on saying, and I quote, "It passed rapidly, but so close under our lee quarter that had it been a man of my acquaintance, I should have easily recognized his features with the naked eye. AKA, it was a creature he had never seen before, and he's well versed in these creatures, so had it been something he had seen before, he would have recognized it." Boom. That's what he meant.